on Fox Local, Fox13News.com, Fox35Orlando.com, and also on YouTube. That is a big story of the day, but that's not all we have for you here on Florida Live in our next hour. Coming up later, we're going to look into the numbers of historic housing inventory for Central Florida's housing market, the Orlando area specifically, some numbers that we haven't seen in more than a decade. We're going to talk with the Orlando Regional Realtors Association about that. It is a Playbook Tuesday where a Politico Florida reporter joins us to break down all of the happenings in state politics. That's coming up in a little bit. In our Tampa connection, a Florida man cited for shooting and killing two birds, one of them a heron, the other one a duck. We'll have the details on that coming up in just a few minutes, but we do begin today with the questions swirling around Hope, Florida. Again, this is questions over funding and records, specifically $10 million from a Medicaid settlement that was given from the Agency for Healthcare Administration to the Hope Florida Foundation, which then gave two grants of $5 million to a couple of organizations that also worked to defeat the marijuana legalization amendment that was on the ballot. One of those, a PAC that was led by the governor's then chief of staff and now attorney general, James Othmeyer. DeSantis, the governor, has defended that payment, that contribution as, quote, totally appropriate. There was a meeting of the Florida House Healthcare Budget Subcommittee today with a panel discussion on Hope, Florida that uncovered more deficiencies and even some potential conflicts today as well. So we're going to go through that here over the next few minutes. I want to play for you first the opening statements from Joshua Hay, the president of the Hope Florida Foundation, who admitted some mistakes made by that foundation.
Thank you for the opportunity to appear before the subcommittee. As we all know, questions have recently surfaced about certain contributions to and distributions made by the Hope Florida Foundation, as well as reporting failures of the foundation. As I told the chairman, I'm here to completely transparent and provide answers to the subcommittee. The legislature and the people of Florida deserve no less. I have long been a supporter of the Hope Florida program. My family endured poverty for much of my childhood. I understand what the families who receive aid from Hope Florida Foundation are dealing with because I was once in their shoes. When I learned there was an opportunity to join the board of a new organization, the Hope Florida Foundation, to support the program's efforts to serve the Florida families who need assistance, I was eager to help and serve. When I heard about the other esteemed business leaders who were also joining the board, I was in good company. In recent weeks, the public reporting has made evident that mistakes were made. There are lapses in reporting procedures, and the foundation was not provided with the staffing support necessary to ensure all matters were being quickly and appropriately handled. In recent days, I have worked with the General Counsel to start the process of fixing those mistakes. I'm working with General Counsel and tax professionals to prepare the foundation's delinquent 990 and other materials required by the law. I have been gathering and reviewing all of the foundation's bank statements. When complete, we will release this information to the public and to this subcommittee. I have called a meeting of the foundation's board for this Thursday where we will discuss next steps. I urge the public and all interested parties to join us there. As for the $10 million in grants that were made at the end of last year, those distributions were made after my review and reviewed by the foundation's general counsel. I had no reason to believe there was anything odd about those grants. Ensuring the credibility of the foundation is crucial. It is important that grants are used for their intended purposes. Based on the proposal submitted by the two organizations that received funds, I had no reason to doubt their alignment with Hope Florida's mission. Like all of you, I am eager to understand how these funds were utilized. To enhance oversight and accountability, I plan to discuss this matter with the board on Thursday and implement measures in line with the 990 requirements. Additionally, I will request that the General Counsel communicate in writing with all recipient organizations to confirm whether the funds were used as intended.
So that was from earlier today, part of the opening statement of Joshua Hay, who was defending the foundation, the charity arm of the Hope Florida organization, Hope Florida program, I should say. Now, Governor Ron DeSantis also spoke today about Hope Florida, holding a news conference in Pensacola, the home city of Representative Alex Andrade, who is the chair of that committee looking into the questions surrounding Hope Florida. He had some strong words, not just for Republican lawmakers, but he also announced today that there are now state liaisons for Hope Florida at all state colleges. Recently announced a similar step for all sheriff's offices around the state. So announcing an expansion of Hope Florida and some strong words for Republican lawmakers in Tallahassee looking into these questions about the program.
This is a manufactured hoax, and you have liberal media and liberal Democrats pushing this, and we have some of these leaders in the Florida House who are stabbing their constituents in the back and joining with liberal media and liberal Democrats. It is a farce. It is manufactured, and it's part of their political agenda. So they can continue to waste time. They're not cutting your property taxes. They haven't done a condo bill. Heck, Joel mentioned they fought me on immigration deportation. I called the special session. The Speaker of the House said it was premature. He said we didn't need to do it. He said that I was being irresponsible by wanting to assist the Trump administration to increase deportations. So these guys are colluding in the Florida House with these liberal Democrats and liberal media. And as I've said, I'm used to this. They've accused me. I mean, since I've been governor, they've called me everything but a child of God. That is what happens. That's what I expect from liberal Democrats. That's what I expect from liberal media. I expect the fabrications. I expect the manufactured narratives. But I think on this time you have this junta in the Florida House that is doing this, and they're colluding because they know that you're on to what they're trying to do. They know that their agenda stinks. They know it's not what they promised you. So this is a way to kind of divert your attention from the fact that, you know, some of these guys are doing the bidding of Morgan & Morgan. They're doing the bidding of the big weed cartel, TrueLeaf, running bills for TrueLeaf, basically bought and paid for by them. And they don't want you to know that. So they're going to try to manufacture. And look, some people feel threatened by the First Lady. Let's just be clear about that. They know this. They say, you saw her up here. You know, if you're looking at you know, like 2026 and you've got, you know, some horse that you don't want her anywhere near that, you're very worried because she runs circles around their people. Everybody knows that. So I think this is a total farce. I think Hope Florida has been tremendously successful. And that's obviously our government policy. The associated charity that supports the Department of Children and Families, that's where that charity gave money to these groups. That charity's given bonus to Hope Navigators. That charity has been instrumental in supporting organizations that have combated drug abuse. Because if you think about child welfare, the majority of child welfare cases, there are drugs in the home that the parents are using. And so I don't see how you could possibly solve that problem unless you're going to be serious about assisting in efforts to mitigate drug abuse. And so that's what the charity has done. It's been incredibly successful. They're just grasping at straws. They're trying to find stuff. They're launching wild accusations. But I don't think anybody's buying it. I think we've all seen this movie before. We know how, you know, some of these liberal outlets and all this stuff and the liberal Democrats get spun up. The only thing different is that you have ostensible Republicans in the leadership that are joining in on this. And again, I think it's politically motivated. I don't think it's not a good faith effort on their part.
Governor Ron DeSantis at that news conference in Pensacola earlier today. So certainly much more to come on this when it comes to the investigation. The chair of that subcommittee, Alex Andrade, basically saying today that he was requesting more information, more documents, and would also subpoena them if necessary. So certainly something to keep an eye on. We're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is time now for our Tampa Connection, and for that we go to Fox 13 News anchor Linda Hurtado. And Linda, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon for our Tampa Connection.
Oh yeah, good to talk to you, Garrett. We're going to start today with a confrontation in a neighborhood over someone shooting birds. So here's what went down. This confrontation caught on video in Pinellas County after a man shot and killed a great blue heron and a mallard duck. Take a listen to some of this interaction.
He just shot 2 herons. He shot our ducks yesterday. Right in your pool. No. No. What do you want to talk about? Tell me how you just killed these birds.
Well, you hear it. The man who recorded the video says that it all started last Friday when he heard Joseph White fire his pellet rifle, then saw him carry a dead mallard duck. And the next day, he said they heard the rifle again. Listen to this.
Step out the waterfront door, and I see a great blue heron on the side of his pool. I was watching specifically. I heard the shot. I see the heron react like you saw the feathers kick up from being shot with something.
Well, great blue herons and mallard ducks are protected under federal law, prompting an investigation. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission says that White admitted to shooting the heron to keep shorebirds and ducks from gathering near his pool. FWC did issue him a citation. As for the neighbor, he says he hopes others who are upset about this incident will donate or volunteer for the Seaside Seabird Sanctuary. So, interesting story there. We're going to move on to something that's really affecting the whole state of Florida. The fluoride in the water issue. You guys have talked about that in Central Florida too, I'm sure. But commissioners in Manatee County, they voted this morning to stop the practice of adding fluoride to their county's drinking water. Now, the county joins a growing list of local governments ending water fluoridation after Florida's Surgeon General, Dr. Joseph Ladapo, issued guidance last fall against fluoride being added to the water. Those against fluoride, which includes the majority of public comments this morning, say it's just an unnecessary additive, and they've raised some concerns over its potential impact on children's IQ levels. Supporters, though, point to fluoride's ability to greatly reduce the prevalence of cavities and dental disease, especially in Florida. And children, let's listen.
It is the small minority you're hearing from. The majority of people really support fluoridation and realize the benefits that it gives our children and adults for their lifetime. Please don't have a few outspoken people ruin, as the Center for Disease Control says, one of the best public health measures in the last 100 years.
All right, Garrett, there is actually another wrinkle to this situation in Manatee County, as commissioners only recently learned that the fluoride has not been added to the county's drinking water since about 2021 because of broken equipment. County officials now estimate that it would take anywhere from 1 to 3 years and cost about $1.5 million to get that equipment back up and running anyway. So after this morning's vote of 5-1, those repairs will not be made.
Certainly an interesting wrinkle there. And one other note when it comes to fluoride, we are watching the state Senate this afternoon, scheduled to gavel in at 4:30. And one of the things, one of the orders today, bills that they will consider, is that farm bill that does include would include a statewide ban on water additives, including fluoride. So certainly more to come on that front.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to go to the beach and talk about sea turtles for just a moment. It's sea turtle nesting season. It's about to begin, and patrols are underway today along the stretch of our coast. Volunteers with Anna Maria Island Turtle Watch and Shore Bird Monitoring keep a close watch on sea turtle activity this year. When they find a nest, they put 4 wooden stakes and flagging tape around the nesting area just to make sure that people stay away. Last year was a record breaker for the turtle nesting on Anna Maria Island, which officials say more than 20,000 hatchlings were produced. There's some big worries, though, because of this season, because of Hurricanes Debbie, Helene, and Milton. They destroyed vegetation along the sand dunes. People aren't really sure how that's going to affect it. Let's listen to some of the concerns.
The big problem with the lack of dunes and vegetation right now is that more light can be seen from the beach than it used to be. So places that used to not even be seen from the beach are now, their light is reaching the beach, and sea turtles use light as a cue. They go away from dark shadows and towards the bright horizons. And when artificial light brightens up the background, then they can't tell which direction to go and they may wander into the street.
So if you do live along the coast near the sea turtles, there are some ways that you can certainly help. Use red light or amber turtle-friendly bulbs and shields, or simply turn off outdoor lighting at night. And anyone, of course, who sees a sea turtle in distress is asked to contact FWC Wildlife Alert Hotline. Most of the people that live in the area, Garrett, they pretty much know these. It's something standard we talk about every year. But for visitors, we like to continue to tell everybody, because if you're visiting our beaches, you may not know what all the rules are.
Yeah, certainly important to keep in mind, important to be aware of, and we hope everything goes well with it, because it is certainly pretty cool to be part of and witness. Yep,
absolutely. All right, that's it from Tampa. Have a great day, Garrett.
Linda, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us from our Tampa connection. That's Fox 13 news anchor Linda Hurtado. We're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Wymer. Thanks for joining us. The investigation is ramping up into Hope, Florida. This afternoon, I had the chance to speak with Kimberly Leonard, who is a Politico Florida reporter and the author of the Florida Playbook newsletter that you can get in your inbox every morning. We talked about this, the latest with this, the broader political questions into this, and also coming as a Senate committee today balked on advancing or considering even a law that would enshrine Hope, Florida in state law. So what happens next? We talked with Kimberly Leonard just a little bit ago.
Well, it was really interesting because today, while the hearing in the House side was going on, Governor DeSantis and the First Lady were actually in Pensacola. And that was a dig at Andrade because he's from Pensacola. And he's the one leading the Health Budget Committee meetings and looking at this very carefully. And what I gather from it is that this is not a sign of a couple that's backing down. They are not intimidated by the scrutiny. They are pushing back. They are using the bully pulpit. And so you had this counter programming, the split screen of, on the one hand, Hope Florida getting scrutinized in a hearing, people facing a lot of questions about, the funding and where it went and who was in charge. And then you have the governor and the first lady telling the public what Hope Florida is all about from their perspective. So it's a very interesting contrast. It's something that the governor has always kind of done as like a contrasting himself, but it's usually contrasting himself against Democrats. So to have him go up there and go up against the House and defending his wife and defending her program is very interesting. I mean, it does not point to a sign that this is anything that they are intimidated by in terms of whether she decides to run for governor.
You mentioned the governor not backing down with this, but it doesn't sound like Representative Andrade is going to back down on this either, threatening subpoenas if needed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, and there was, from what I gather, there was some acknowledgement that perhaps, paperwork wasn't properly filled out, that the protocol didn't go exactly how it should with Hope Florida. And so it's going to be something that gets a lot more scrutiny from the perspective of Byron Donalds, perhaps, or anyone else who wants to run for governor. This is something that, because the gubernatorial campaign started so early, it allows Byron Donalds or anyone else really to go ahead and define the potential competition and sort of try to, cut their legs out from under them and undermine her work. But we'll see who the public believes, right? The governor is very popular in Florida. He knows how to get his message out when he wants to. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw him on Fox News either today or tomorrow, continuing to make his argument to a national audience. And they are not, going to be pushed back on this. And I think the House is just going to keep on fighting. And so it's going to be a very interesting, once again, contrast that is new for the governor.
You talked about it in the context of the 2026 governor's race, but what are the broader political questions and implications of this continuing to drag on?
Well, what it could signal, and it sort of depends, right, what side you're on, but for those who don't want Casey to run, it's a way to kind of undermine her before she gets in the race. She's never been elected to anything before. She has this program, though, that she is very proud of, that she believes has really helped people. And so for her to get up and talk about it does help for her to put, sort of her own stamp on it so that she isn't fully just defined by, what the opposition wants it to be. But on the other hand, I think the goal would be for those who, don't want her to enter the race or don't want her to be successful is to try to essentially send a message that she's not qualified, that there's all these weird things going on. And really, it's interesting that the person they're going after is more the first lady than the governor himself, even though the two of them are very much intertwined and work kind of as a governing pair, if you would.
Kimberly, we've talked before about the changing kind of dynamic between the legislature and Governor DeSantis as his time in office winds down, and I want to get your thoughts on that now as we see this really continue and really ramp up, because the language the governor used in his news conference today was about this being a betrayal of House Republicans and a waste of their supermajority in the legislature.
It's fascinating. It actually kind of reminds me of when he was running for president against Nikki Haley, and he was trying to tie her to the left and saying, she's so extreme, and, I'm glad I debated Gavin Newsom because it helped me prepare for my debate with Nikki Haley, was what he ended up saying at one point. And that's what he's doing now, because you obviously have a Republican supermajority, and he's going around saying, look, they are not doing what we elected them to do. He said they promised to support my agenda. He said I was the one who basically created this ability for Republicans to be so successful in Florida. And, I think a lot of that is true. I think that the governor, when he did well in 2022, so did every other Republican up and down the ticket, and he helped to kind of bring that along. And so from his perspective, he feels like, well, your job as elected officials is to support my agenda or the conservative agenda. Reality is that, of course, there has been this brewing, simmering tension going on for a long time. We've reported about it at Politico for a long time. We were told that we were liars, that it wasn't true, etc. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of these people just weren't ready to go public with it, and now they are.
So where do things go from here?
Oof. Well, they have to finish the session on time. So we'll see if that happens, because there's a lot of disagreements about tax cuts. The governor really wants them focusing on property taxes. The House Speaker would rather cut the sales tax. And the Senate president really wants the sales tax removed for clothing items under $75. So they are very far apart on this. And it doesn't really help that they're far apart in it and also not getting along. That just makes it a lot harder to be able to get to some sort of an agreement.
Yeah, so and obviously that budget, something very important, something that has to be done during the session. So we will see where those discussions go as well. We're going to take a break here on Florida Live. When we come back, we are going to talk with the Orlando Regional Realtor Association about the housing market and some big changes that they are seeing, what it all means. Coming up in just a couple of minutes here on Fox Local and on YouTube. Welcome back to Florida Live, live on YouTube and on Fox Local. And here's a live look at the downtown Orlando right now. And you can see a beautiful Lake Eola there as well. We know there is a historically high number of homes currently on the market in Orlando. The housing inventory pretty high, 66% above the average of this time of year. Earlier today, I spoke with Lawrence Bolito. He is the president of the Orlando Regional Realtor Association. He put this in context for us and also let us know what you need to know if you're looking to buy or sell right now.
Our inventory has increased to about 12,500 homes right now, which puts us at about a 6 to 7 month supply of inventory. What this really translates to, Garrett, is that we are in a more balanced market than prior years that we've been used to. The past decade, we've been used to a seller's market where you put a home on the market and the price is high, you'd still receive 20 to 30 offers on it. it all was based on the interest rates, and that was causing such a high demand for properties back then. But with now the interest rates going up a little higher and still fluctuating in the 6.5 to 7% ranges, we're seeing a little slowdown. And please keep in mind that we're coming off the winter months and stuff, that we're just starting to be in spring. So we're going to see a shift again where these homes will start flying back off the market again.
So what does this mean for folks who are looking to buy and looking to sell right now? What's the impact?
It's a great opportunity to buy. Right now, you have so much room for opportunity to purchase a home and negotiate the best favorable terms for your future purchase. What does that mean? You could negotiate possibly a roof. I've actually personally, with my side of the business, I've been working on. I, we negotiated a new roof for one of my customers. Also, a price. It's also negotiable. Repairs, closing cost assistance. So that really helps out the buyers a lot in this type of market to get back into the game that they missed out a couple years ago.
Also been a while since buyers have more options out there. That's always a good thing too, right?
Absolutely. They can pick and choose now that they see more inventory out there. They don't have to be restricted to just one area, one home or two homes at the most, and then battle it out with other buyers. Right now, they have a whole selection of homes that they can go through and decide what's going to be their future purchase. I mean, it is a huge, massive deal for their lifetime to purchase a home. So they have the opportunity now to look at their multiple options that's in front of them.
You mentioned this is the highest inventory since October of 2014. But this is, I know you were also saying this is also a pretty typical, normal market. So were things over the past few years the more abnormal situation, and this kind of a more of a return to what a typical market might be?
Absolutely. A couple years back, we're dealing with a pandemic where people are constricted to being at their homes. So a lot of people that were able to work remotely, moved to Florida. So they work remotely from Florida. So you've seen the high increase in many people coming down to the state. We're talking about 1,000 a day to Florida, 1,000 per week, and that number doesn't slow down. It just keeps coming. And again, we were discussing this. If you look at traffic, traffic just increases all the time. Every time you go out on a Sunday, there's traffic everywhere. So that just shows you that there's so many people coming down here for multiple reasons. And of course, we have our summer months, almost 12 months of sunshine, barring any hurricanes and everything. But again, during the pandemic, that just brought so many more people down here.
You mentioned the interest rates and the role that is kind of playing in the changing of this. What's the outlook moving forward? Where do things go from here with the housing market? Do you think this is a trend that we're going to see continue for a while?
Not for too long, but we are going to still be here for right now. And I wish I had a crystal ball that will help me predict what we're looking at. But I think we're going to see a much softer market, especially more people coming down here. They're going to start taking up a lot of this inventory. And we always say, buy the home and then worry about refinancing it later to a more favorable rate.
So you said now is a good time for buyers to act before competition kind of starts to heat up.
Absolutely. Now's the time to do this before your competition starts coming down here for the summertime, because kids are out. So this is the best time for many families to start relocating. That's their opportunity that they take. And again, it's great to go out into the sunshine to go look at homes versus in a storm or winter months. So you have more people down here during that time looking for homes.
What makes this area so attractive for folks to move here to Central Florida, and why there's such a demand for the homes here?
So much opportunity. We still have great pricing compared to the rest of the country. Our beautiful weather. We're always. I mean, this is right now the great time to be outside, barbecuing, going to the beach, having some fun in the sun. And there's just so much job opportunities that's starting to grow here in the area, in the Central Florida market. So many companies are coming down here to open up shop, and we're seeing it from all over the world. We're not just seeing, just throughout the states. We're seeing many countries coming over and starting new businesses.
Is there anything else that stands out to you about this latest data that people should know about?
Yes, now's the time to buy. Get out there and buy. Don't wait till things change for, what some may consider for the better. But again, if you get into the house that you love right now, you can get your dream home at this opportunity and move forward. Get into the home, and you could always refinance later for a better interest rate.
All right. So what's the bottom line here, Lawrence?
Bottom line, now's the time to buy. Sellers, it's time to make sure that you have a great curb appeal, landscape, replant some new bushes, make sure that your AC is serviced, make sure that you're up to date with any old appliances. And staging is very important for sellers, so that way they can attract a home buyer through their home.
Yeah, especially when there are more homes on the market, trying to look for a way to kind of separate yourself, separate your home. So I would imagine some things like that, some small easy steps can probably go a long way toward doing that.
Absolutely, it makes a world of a difference when you go through a home, watching a video tour, and you see a beautiful home, and you see the nice landscape when you first go through the front door. Everything looks amazing, and people are going to jump on it immediately.
We'll be right back with more Florida Live after this. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. A rematch tonight for the Magic against the Atlanta Hawks. Rematch of the last game of the season just a couple of days ago. But the Magic now playing in the NBA play-in tournament to determine whether they make it into the playoffs or whether they go home. Now, tonight, not a must-win either way, but they do hope to win tonight and go on and advance. I talked earlier with Tyler Karen, who is co-host and producer of In the Zone on 96.9 The Game, to talk about what the Magic need to do going forward.
That last game of the regular season, Orlando was resting all of their stuff and hiding all of their stuff, while Atlanta was doing more of the same. Everyone that I've talked to in the NBA community, we just count that one as a wash. It's just a draw. When we look at stats against for these two teams going head to head, we filter that game out. It was a A great game for some, but really one that we don't pay much attention to. But it's unique. You play the same team 3 times in 8 days. You go back to a week ago from today when Atlanta was at home. It was a 6-7 point victory for Orlando. That was everyone giving their full force. So these two teams have met a lot recently, and it makes this playing experience that much more unique.
What impact do you think that has tonight?
It's a good question, and rather the players today, Paolo Banchero, Cole Anthony, were kind of asked about it. It's a very fine line that you try to balance out between you have been successful against this team, and you don't want to venture too far away from the things that made you successful. But with that said, Atlanta has all the film on you from a week ago where you were able to get that win. So it's not getting away from your ways, from your values, from your principle in this game because you're worried about the opponent having the answers to the test, if you will. You still want to play your brand of basketball, but you just make the little changes. You see what worked really well. How can you make it better? Okay, what didn't work so well? What were some good areas and even the negatives? And you just try to build on all of those things.
That being said, what do the Magic need to do tonight then to beat the Hawks?
Well, this is an Atlanta team that's very unique, very different style than what Orlando likes to play. And generally, Orlando has performed well against those teams that play a different brand. Atlanta likes to get up and down. They play at one of the fastest paces in the league. Orlando is more of a slow tempo, half-court offense and defense. Some of the Magic pillars, as I've called them all season long, is controlling the offensive glass and controlling rebounding as a whole. The winner in the rebounding margin most likely will end up being the winner of this game. Atlanta gets a lot of threes up. That produces long rebounds, a lot of second chance opportunities for Atlanta. It's done it well all season long. The more opportunities that you give guys like Trae Young to get up as many threes as possible, it digs yourself in a hole. So controlling the board is going to be huge. Atlanta also turns teams over at a very high rate. All that kind of boosted by Dyson Daniels, averaged 3 steals on the year. The first player going back to the 1990-1991 season, Alvin Robertson of Milwaukee, the last player to average 3 steals in an NBA season. So controlling those turnovers. Daniels, you can watch for it tonight. Daniels plays like a free safety, if you will. Atlanta likes to run a 2-3 zone. It kind of flirts the offense into shooting, which Orlando has not done well for the most part this season, and tries to keep you out of the paint where Orlando has thrived. Daniels will cheat the Magic into thinking you have an open passing lane, and he's able to jump those very quickly, produces fast break opportunities. So those are the 2 big keys, controlling the rebounding and limiting the turnovers against a dangerous Atlanta team.
We know the stars for this Magic team, but who else needs to step up if the Magic are not just going to win tonight, but try to make a push in the playoffs?
Absolutely. I mean, you have gotten tremendous contribution from the backcourt specifically. Guys like Cole Anthony, who missed some time this season, nursing a toe injury. He is back. He is healthy. He spoke at shoot around today. And what Cole said was he woke up with a big smile on his face at 8 a.m., which apparently 8 a.m. is kind of early for Cole, or at least for him to be feeling that excited. Cole Anthony's excited. He's ready to go. Cole has been huge for this team. Corey Joseph, the vet, who Orlando brought in to be that veteran soul in the locker room. He's been starting for the Magic for the last 16 or so games, and the Magic record has been tremendous in those games with Kojo, a vet, in the starting lineup. He's able to really kind of pick up the pace, not to the style that Atlanta wants to play, but just getting the ball across half court with 21 seconds on the shot clock, allowing Orlando to kind of settle into their offense a little bit quicker. Cole, Kojo, Caleb Houston has been coming off of the bench and providing a 3-point threat. Those guys have been tremendous off of the bench.
I tell you what, I'd be excited too if I didn't have to wake up until 8 a.m. That's for sure. But let's get your prediction for tonight. How do you think the Magic do?
So these two teams, again, we throw out the game from Sunday. That was an Atlanta victory. It was, we were joking, it was an away and G League game. It was the end of the bench, none of your starters playing for either side for the most part. So Orlando against Atlanta this year, 2-1. The first 2 games, Atlanta won by 6, Orlando won by 6. So very even match. Going back to last week in Orlando came away with a 7-point victory. It really was a 14-point game. Atlanta hit some threes late that kind of brought the difference a little bit closer. But that's kind of what I expect. The odds makers have the line kind of at that 5-6 range. This is going to be a battle. This isn't a must-win game necessarily for either side. You lose, you get the opportunity to play at home for the 8 seed against the winner of Chicago and Miami. But both these teams are treating it with a must-win mentality. You don't want to put yourself in that hole to have your back against the wall. Both teams will be fighting until the very end. I think you can expect a compelling, competitive game going all the way through until the final buzzer. And you know, advantage Orlando by a couple of points is what the hometown faithfuls hope to see.
And this is just the beginning. We know if the Magic advance here, still a tough road ahead.
Certainly, regardless of if the Magic make their way into the playoffs from the play-in, you win this game tonight, you get that 7th seed, and you're matched up against the Boston Celtics, who are the defending NBA champions and haven't been playing some of their best ball as of late. But Boston is a veteran, experienced team that can kind of turn it on and turn it off in ways that other teams don't have the luxury with the stars, the all-stars that team has. And if you get that 8 seed, congratulations. Here's the Cleveland Cavaliers, who just wrapped up one of the best regular seasons that we've seen in some time. So certainly a tough road, but one that this Orlando team is certainly up for. A good record against the Celtics, a winning record against the Celtics since drafting Paolo Banchero a couple of years ago. And for Cleveland, this was a team that you went all the way to Game 7 with in the first round just a season ago. So both teams pretty similar, but a bit different. Orlando will be up for the challenge either way. You just got to get by Atlanta tonight.
Tip-off at 7:30 from the Kia Center in downtown Orlando. Keep it right here on Florida Live. More to come in 2 minutes. We are tracking breaking news this afternoon here on Florida Live. These are live images out of Dallas, Texas, where police have responded to a potential shooting at a high school there. This is Wilmer Hutchins High School. It's on Langdon Road in Dallas. You see a heavy police response. These aerial images, the camera on the ground as well from KDFW, that's Fox 4 in Dallas, Fort Worth. And you can see as that the camera from that helicopter zooms out just how many police officers have responded to this scene. So we still don't have a whole lot of details right now, but what we do know from Fox 4 that police responded to a shooting call around 1 o'clock this afternoon. Obviously, you see the heavy police response we have seen in the past few minutes as well, and you could kind of see them in that one shot from the ground as well. Some students leaving the building, walking along the roads alongside the school campus, police officers standing guard on that road at the entrances. as well. We see fire rescue ambulances on the scene, and as well, still very much a developing situation there in Dallas, as police have responded to what is believed to be a shooting call. No word on injuries or anything like that at this point. Still too early in this to know, but we wanted to let you know this is something that we are monitoring this afternoon, and we'll continue to keep an eye on here on Fox Local. This is a school in Dallas, again, Wilmer Hutchins High School. You see the football stadium, the track there, where it appears there are some people who potentially may have been evacuated out of that building, sitting on the bleachers, and certainly a scary situation. We've seen some parents with students as well, likely taking them home. Typically a large response from parents rushing to the school in situations like that. But you see a police officer there arriving, Hutchins Police, it looks like, with their lights on still as well. So still very much an active scene here, and we wait for more details. These images, though, from Fox 4 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so something we are continuing to monitor this afternoon. Very much a developing story out of Dallas. Well, earlier today, Congressman Corey Mills was in Castleberry holding a town hall with veterans. He said that about 60% of the calls to his office have to do with VA issues. So he was there in Castleberry here in Seminole County with Secretary Doug Collins, who is the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Afterward, they spoke with Fox 35's Marley Capper about things that they are doing, their goals to address specifically suicide and homelessness among veterans.
That room, as plain and simple. When you see what those men and women in there have done and the sacrifice they made, it's also just good to be in there with fellow service members. And I think that's, for me, I spend a lot of days in Washington, D.C. I try to get out as much as possible. I travel a great deal because in D.C. we see the sterile environments of what we do. This is where the rubber hits the road for these veterans. And I want to make sure that I'm hearing from them, hearing their issues, but also communicating them straight back to them so they're not hearing it through filters of those who may have different agendas. My agenda is making the VA better. They need to hear it from me.
Totally. You mentioned Doge a lot and just the cleanup. So my grandfather, my uncle, both Chief Master Sergeants in the Air Force, and my grandfather, you mentioned Vietnam and really how those veterans were really what kick-started a lot of this.
They did.
He has cancer twice now from Agent Orange, so this is personal. Obviously, it's going to take time for these things to kind of hit the veterans, but when are the changes that you're hoping to make going to hit people like my grandpa? Well,
some of us should already change by just the attitude change. And our hospitals are now focused on, doing what they're supposed to be doing, that's taking it, and also they know from me up top that they better be getting the community care aspect going. I ask about it in every hospital I go. I found out about an issue. When I find out about an issue, I don't go through the layers of bureaucracy. I go straight to the director. That's probably surprised a lot of the medical center directors because I just go straight to them. I'm a management by walking around kind of person, so you're already seeing it in the attitude. But culture is something that takes a little bit longer. Now, what you're going to see in the next few months is you're going to see some major restructuring, some major organizational changes, some things that are actually going to be affecting how we get our services in and how we get it, the bureaucracy layers out.
A lot of news outlets said that, you mentioned the cuts of getting rid of the watering cans and interior designers was really affecting and taking away benefits from veterans. Can we just clear that up?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is there's none of that. Nobody's, the one lie out there is that they're saying we're cutting health care and we're cutting benefits. Those are statutory. We're not cutting any of those. Nobody has had that discussion of cutting health care or benefits to any of our veterans. That's just a scare tactic to say we like the VA to be a government employment program, not a service organization. We're a service organization, not an employment program. And so a lot of these contracts, everything you've seen, have just grown up over the years and nobody questioned them. Well, now I'm saying, is it actually being effective? So that's what we're really looking at.
Nearly $600 million every year going to suicide prevention, and you feel like it's not really changing.
No.
Obviously, you're going to move some things around. What does that look like?
It's more engagement. I'm going to look to the organization. Why are we really focused on us having to do everything? I mean, if that much money, I can look at other organizations that are actually having real results, real tangible efforts. And I'm looking at nonprofits, our VSOs. I want everybody to come to the table. And with Congressman Mills and others in the Hill, I want them to know that we're focused outwardly as well. That VA care is VA care no matter where we do it. If we're funding it, we're going to make the highest standards. But the biggest problem we have right now is there's been an unwillingness to take on some of these folks really that have grown up, I say, in the 9/11 generation that are nonprofits that, they spend almost all of their money goes to the project project that they're working on. And for many of those, that's, care for those wounded warriors, care for those that are coming back that have the PTSD, TBI, sexual response, those kind of issues that are really we're not seeing respond to the traditional way. And I'm a believer, and I believe what Congressman talked about, that drugs are not the only way to treat this. Some of them just need somebody to talk to. And so I think those are the ways that we're really going to be focused on, using that money to say more than just what we have. Some of what we do is good. Our crisis lines, those kind of things are very good stuff, but there may be other places we can actually look to.
I'm also from LA, so there's Skid Row, and there's there's thousands of veterans that are there as well. You mentioned homelessness briefly.
Yes.
Do you guys have a plan to try to tackle this? Because veterans shouldn't obviously be on the streets.
Yeah, that's it. That's another thing. And homelessness in our country has actually risen. Homelessness of veterans has actually went down a little bit, but it's still at 40,000. And we spend by the way, I didn't get a chance in there. It's $3 billion how much we spent. $3 billion. I could build a house for every one of them. But again, it's that perpetuating program. We're getting ready. I will just say this for the folks from LA, get ready. We got something coming out there that's going to be a really neat project, and I think the president is going to be really excited about this because we're not hitting our mission in some of these places, and our mission is just to find transition. But it takes more than just putting them in a house. It says, okay, what brought them to this performance? One of the things we didn't talk about as much in there, we talked about
from that Veterans Town Hall earlier today. Again, this is we're out of time here on Florida Live, but I just want to let you know we are still monitoring the situation in Dallas, Texas, where police have responded to a potential shooting at a high school there. So we are following up on this. If you're watching us on Fox Local Orlando, we'll have the latest coming up on Fox 30.